We're at a staging post in Poland, just on the Czech border, which is in danger of closure. Since Poland joined the EU in 2004, the number of trucks stopping with horses has gradually decreased. Now they're seeing 2 or 3 per month. Most of these are from Lithuania, which have travelled 16 to 18 hours already. If this staging post closes down, there won't be another one until Redditch, which is another 18 hours drive, making the trade illegal. We travelled across the Czech Republic, through Slovakia and down towards Hungary, tracing the route that the horses would be taking. We then spent the day monitoring the road for transporters and visiting the staging post. Now we're on the Hungarian-Slovenian border. No horses coming through. We haven't seen any livestock trucks. Why is that? Is it something that you're noticing more frequently?
It's a massive concern that the vehicles aren't stopping. We ourselves have undertaken research to look at the numbers of horse lorries that are actually coming along this route, and it's clear to see that there are the lorries travelling along these routes, but the concern is that they're not actually stopping for the legal 24 hours rest after 24 hours travel.
Where will the trucks have come from to reach here? How long will they have been travelling for?
The lorries have come from a number of different countries, including Poland, Lithuania and Romania along this particular route, some as far as places like Belarus. They will have travelled many hours. For example, it takes nearly 30 odd hours to get from Lithuania across to this route. So they need to have food, water and rest.
And is the situation getting worse? Why are they able just to fly through across mainland Europe?
The concern is really about enforcement. In terms of the regulation, they can only undertake spot checks, so they can't do sort of rigorous enforcement from a point of view of checking every single vehicle, because it has to comply with European law. But from this point of view, it's making sure that enough of the vehicles are being spotted. The trade itself is very well connected, and there have been a number of issues to do with non-compliance. For example, vehicles not having individual partitions for the horses. And what we're finding, or what we're hearing about from people involved in terms of the enforcement and also the staging posts, is that they're just finding the vehicles that are non-compliant just don't stop, and that there's a connection between the drivers, that they'll tell people if there's a spot check going on, so they'll avoid it.
We then travelled on to the staging post. There was no sign of horses all day, but we had a call in the middle of the night. A transporter from Romania had called in to get hay and water. It's nearly 2:15 in the morning. We've been sitting here all day, and we get a call at 1 o'clock to say that there's some horses coming through, and we've been waiting for these horses for 2 days. And now we've seen them and helped feed and water them, and I've actually seen for myself how they're travelling. I'm not sure if I'm going to sleep tonight after that. How was that in comparison to what you normally see?
Well, it always takes you back when you see them, because you just want to help them, just do what you can to make their lot better as they're going on that journey. Tonight there was a mixture of horses on one side of the truck and donkeys loose on the other side. There was even foals in the truck, and it's a case of trying to make their last trip as good as you possibly can, and try and make the lot better for the rest of them. But it's hard.
The thing that struck me out of seeing that is that how crammed in they are. That the foal with the mare, she had no room to even lift her head up and down. And is that how they travel, all of them? I mean,
they're not meant to travel like that. That's the situation, and seeing that is always incredibly upsetting, and it's trying to do something to stop that sort of thing happening, and also trying to do something that's going to make the lot of more horses better and ultimately end this trade.
Are those partitions I just explained to you earlier, that the horses that we saw at the market 3 days ago in Poland, they were heavy, mostly unbroken stallions. This truck was horses that have obviously been working hard. They're finer. They're horses I'm probably more used to coming across in the UK, and they're in these tiny partitions. Is that the size that the bigger horses are put in as well.
The big problem is that space allowance didn't get tackled in the last regulation, the last piece of law that came out in 2007. The space allowance wasn't tackled, so it is a one-fits-all piece of legislation, which is not good enough for any horse. And you've got a situation where those horses were much slighter, but they just didn't have enough room.
It's phenomenally hard to see this in first hand, actually. I didn't know how I'd feel about it, and I've been reporting on this for 5 years, and now I've seen it. We've been waiting for 2 days, and
it does take you aback. And I think the only thing I can say is it fuels you to keep fighting and keep putting pressure, because this doesn't need to go on anymore. No. This is needless. This trade needs to end in terms of long distance transport for slaughter, and it's just, you see these horses and you try and help them as much as you possibly can, but it's needless.
We met with the Slovenian Veterinary Inspectorate as 3 staff and a mobile unit performing random checks on transporters going through Slovenia, which is a large transit country. The second truck they stopped had a problem with the watering system. 2 of the horses on board didn't have buckets. A third, the pipe was broken. The stop meant a delay for the horses of 20-30 minutes. And this was one of the most horrifying sights of the journey so far for me. One of the horses panicked, and it shook the entire truck. 20 horses on board and one having a panic attack. World Horse Welfare is very encouraged to see the Slovenian Veterinary Inspectorate working in this way, and believes that the same checks should be performed across Eastern Europe. 2,000 kilometres later, we were nearing the staging post to Italy. The first one we visited was just on the Slovenian-Italian border. We were encouraged to see the horses looking relaxed, resting, bedded up, eating and being watered after their long journey. Then we travelled further north on the Italian-Slovenian border. Here there were 5 trucks, and the horses were resting but not in as good condition as what we had seen. The worrying thing is that only a small percentage of the horses coming into Italy are actually stopping at these staging posts, so we saw the good ones.
So Jo, what can Horse and Hound readers do? What is World Horse Welfare campaigning for at present?
Horse and Hound readers can help by signing our petition and getting involved with our campaign. World Horse Welfare is looking for finite journey times and end to this trade. We also need to have a proper definition of unbroken horses. What is actually defines an unbroken horse? We want to see a proper definition on space allowance as well, so it ties into the size, type and breed of horses.